6. They get the ball back with 6:05 at their own 25. They're going straight Mahomes at this point, and it's, pass, 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 scramble, all that stuff. They get down. So they get down. They make a first down. Patrick Mahomes short middle to Kelsey for 11 yards down to the Tampa 18-yard line at the 2-minute warning.
Right.
The Bucs only have one timeout left. The Chiefs have, I think, all 3 at that point in time. Yes, they do.
Yes.
Yes, because they use them coming up.
Yep.
So at that point in time, Nick, like Andy Reid, this is where his deficiencies showed up. When I love this week, of course, going into the game, it's like, oh, you guys all made fun of Andy Reid and his clock management. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes would make me look like a freaking genius on an NFL sideline.
Yeah.
So when Patrick Mahomes isn't superhuman and playing out of this world, all of a sudden Andy Reid's warts start to show up. And this is where it does, where you come out of the 2-minute warning, you have to run the ball on first down and stay in bounds. Now, they gave a short little pass to Tyreek Hill there, and he ends up going out of bounds. But you just don't leave that to chance, Nick. You run the ball. You see what the Bucs do. If they burn their last timeout, great. If they don't, you take it all the way down.
Yep.
Then you can do whatever you want. You could do that Travis Kelce pass on second down. All of a sudden, now you're inside of a minute. You have 3 timeouts. The game is yours. You get the ball to start the second half. Instead, what does Andy Reid do? They run out of bounds. It's now 1:52 left. Now they throw in bounds. It only gets down to 1:10. People were all over Bruce Arians for not calling a timeout there. I thought it was smart because you never know. What if KC makes a first down in the red zone and you don't have the right personnel on the field or something and you needed to call a timeout? Or you might get the ball at some point before the end of the half and you needed to kick a field goal. So I liked him holding on to the timeout. Now it's 3rd and 6. They have to throw the ball. And he throws incomplete. So now they kick the field goal. The Bucs get the ball with 5 left. And you're right. In my opinion, Arians was going to go into halftime with the lead.
Yep.
And there's no way after they gained it was no gain on first down. I'm sorry. You let it go down as far as possible, and then you see what happens. You do not force the issue there and give them a chance to get more points when you're going to get the ball after halftime. I don't know how you saw it. I thought that was the biggest part of the game to me. It completely screwed everything up.
And then he did it again. Right. So I agree with you wholeheartedly about not running the football. Again, I will say this and I will disagree with you. I don't think Kansas City ran the football enough in the first half. They showed absolutely zero commitment to it. I thought again that, Andy Reid fell in love with Patrick Mahomes because he's a very special player and he's a special little toy that's on the shelf and he can't help himself and he's going to have, pass after pass. They didn't run the ball enough. You had the safeties. You had to force the safeties to come up into the box a little bit, so then maybe open up something down deep and attack that way. But yes, so they didn't run the football, which was a mistake. And then not only did he call a timeout early on in that down, set of downs with Tampa, but then it was a 3rd and 2? I think it was a 3rd and 2, if memory serves me correct. 3rd and 2, they call another timeout.
Yeah, it was so it was 2nd and 10. Yes, 8. They get to 8 yards. It's right before 3rd and 2. They call another timeout there.
So you have 3rd and 2, and you're calling another timeout.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a 3rd and 7. It's not a 3rd and 11. That is the way that Tampa. Let's not forget. Tampa was stopped at the 1-yard line.
Yep.
Their offense was doing anything that it wanted to do in the first half.
Yep.
The way their offense is cranking, 3rd and 2, and you call a timeout, you are now begging. You are now begging for Brady to not just put 3 points up on the board, but a 7 spot. They deserved every single point that they gave up at the end of the half. And it's mind-blowing to me because you watch the NFC Championship game and you go, how in the world can a team like Green Bay handle the end of the half like they did? And then you fast forward to the Super Bowl and you see a team, again, mishandle the end of the – this is why we talk about coaching around the league and we say Bill Belichick is easily the greatest of all time. If you watched the NFL, watch across – this is the stuff you see. You see – unfortunately, you see it all the time. And it leaves you scratching your head and trying to figure out why somebody can have that job and be in that position and make those kinds of decisions. It made absolutely zero sense to me.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Nick. I mean, that was just They should have gone into halftime. Up or down 14-6 at the least.
Yep.
At the least, you go down there, you play that better, you come out, you have the ball to start the second half. Instead of a chance to tie, now you're down 21-6 at halftime.
Yep.
And it's a lot different. And now Travis Kelce's walking around with a dirty diaper and feeling bad for himself, and he's got diaper rash and all that stuff. It was a disaster. And I thought Andy Reid got exposed, and Mahomes wasn't there to bail him out. Nick, let's go through real quick our 3 up and 3 down each from this game. Who's your number 1 3 up?
Well, I'm just going to give it to the defensive line. Can I do that? You can
do that. Yeah.
I think just the D-line. The D-line for Tampa is by far the reason why Tampa won this game. It's the reason why this was such an easy win, relatively speaking, for them, which really bothered me, by the way. Like, how many Super Bowls? We see Brady win 6 Super Bowls with the Pats, and they're all nail biters.
Exactly.
First time he wins a Super Bowl outside of New England, it's keep your feet up and just drink and enjoy the night kind of Super Bowl.
Yeah. Number 1 for me was, and I keep going back and forth. I'll say Todd Bowles, just because I think that his plan as far as staying on top of Tyreek Hill, even though I don't think it was very inventive, I did have a question on whether he was going to take the Patriots approach and keep a safety over top over Hill all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And then they kind of let Kelce a little bit loose inside, but Devin White and Levante David were always there and always in his grill and exposing him for being soft. So Bowles is my number 1. Number 2?
Yeah, Bowles was actually my number 2.
Okay.
And I know you disagreed with this vehemently earlier in the podcast, but I'll say it again. I did think that he changed some things. I thought he wasn't as aggressive as he usually is. I don't know if we want to get wrapped up into the number of blitzes versus number of blitzes he's had throughout the year, but I thought he was not as aggressive in his play calling. And I think what you just mentioned is a good point. Keeping that safety over the top against Hill. It's not playing aggressive. It's playing somewhat safe. It's saying, hey, listen, we're going to let our front 4 get to the quarterback, and we're going to trust the coverage, and we're not going to allow these crossing routes against man coverage to beat us over and over and over again. So I thought he had a heck of a night. And it was really weird. I know some people were tweeting about this, but it was true. Like, they never showed Bowles. They waited until like the 4th quarter to show him. And it was like he wasn't even part of the game. Romo and Nance didn't bring him up until like the 4th. It was the oddest thing. But anyway.
I know, but we could talk about Jim Nance's ball washing, of Tom Brady, even though I'll tell you what, I thought the best line of the night was very early when Jim Nance said, he's like, oh, Tom Brady was the first one on the field, and he was just gazing around. And Tony Romo's like, I saw you gazing at Tom. And even Nance was like, easy. There's a whole backstory there. Like, Brady was at Nance's wedding. Like, it's ridiculous. But anyways.
Can I say quickly, though? Because the one thing that really, really pissed me off was all of a sudden, Kansas City's down. They're down a decent amount. It's getting later in the game. And then all of a sudden, Tony Romo starts talking about Mahomes' toe.
Yeah.
That pissed me. It's like, come on.
I saw it irritated you.
Oh,
and
the first 2.5, 3 quarters, they don't mention it. He had 33 yards rushing. He's running around the entire night in the pocket, scrambling for his life. It's like, dude, if his toe was that much of an issue, he would have been sacked 15 times tonight. Like, his mobility is still there. He's extending plays and he's running with the football. So I thought that was weak.
I completely agree with you. And I didn't know why he was doing it. Nobody talked about it when they were winning the AFC Championship game. It wasn't a factor now. It was more that he had to run around for his life, and that, and that I'm sure didn't make his foot feel any better, but it wasn't a factor at all. Number 2 for me was Devin White. I thought you could make the argument that he was the best football player in the field. I mean, that kid, sideline to sideline, just all over the place, tackling people, his speed. I mean, it's amazing. Levante David, for so many years in his career, was like the show on the Bucs defense. Yeah. And now White has just eclipsed him and made him almost look like an old grizzled veteran compared to him. White's just tremendous. Number 3 for you?
He's a freak of an athlete.
Yep.
I'm going to go with the offensive line of Tampa. A lot of people are going to talk about Brady, and listen, he's the greatest of all time. He has been the greatest of all time since, I think, ring at least 6, not 5. But he was hardly touched tonight. That Tampa offensive line was tremendous. They kept Brady clean. They also bulldozed that defensive front of Kansas City. They were able to run the football down their throat in the second half. I thought Tampa's O-line had a great night.
Yeah. Number 3 for me was the double-headed monster of Fournette and Jones. They were just, to me, they were the Bucs were able to stay so balanced, and Brady only needed to throw for 200 yards, and the play action was there to give him some openings and a lot of easy throws. I wouldn't say there were a lot of big time throws that like PFF would say.
I would agree.
16 for 89 for Fournette, 12 for 61 for Jones, a long of 27 for Fournette, a long of 13 for Jones. Those guys were they were a double-headed monster. They were way better than the Chiefs were able to run the ball. The balance that they were able to achieve, I'm sorry, to me, it just eclipsed Brady in this game. 3 down. Who you got number 1?
Oh, Kansas City O-line next.
Yeah. I went a little bit more individual. I went with Wiley, the
all
right
the
tackle
up front, all of them, just awful.
Did you see that one run by Clyde Edwards-Helaire where Wiley completely whiffed on the guy and Edwards-Helaire stopped and still made about a 15-yard run? It was that way all night. I had Remmers as my number 2 down, and my number 3 down. Yeah, he had 100 yards in the game, 10 catches, 133 yards. Whoop-de-damn-do, Travis Kelce, you soft as Charmin quitter. I'm sorry. That was the most useless 10 for 133 in Super Bowl history.
I got Andy Reid and I got Tyreek Hill on my list. I thoroughly enjoyed Tyreek Hill, and we know his story off the field.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoy watching that dude. When he's getting picked on, he doesn't like it. He's crying. Again, it goes into the idea of Kelce. There is a little bit of front running on this team. I don't think Mahomes is, by the way. Mahomes is out there battling his ass off. He's getting hammered, and he kept trying to play. He kept trying to play. But I do think Hill and Kelce, you can get under their skin. You can bang them up a little bit. All right. So one take that you will probably regret later, Greg.
One take that I will probably regret later. For this game, let's just, all right, we'll wrap this into also the question of the day, because I'm sure a lot of people are curious about it. The whole Tom Brady and his value and all this stuff. Do I think Tom Brady made the difference on this Bucs team winning this Super Bowl? The difference, I don't know. I'm not quite ready to say this. Let me answer this question instead. Do I think that Tom Brady is the only quarterback in the NFL that could have gone to Tampa Bay this year and done this? I don't think he's the only quarterback that could have done it. I think that Russell Wilson could have done it. I think that Aaron Rodgers could have done it. I think that Patrick Mahomes could have done it. I think that now the second tier, those guys, we'd have to go through them and I'd have to think about them. Deshaun Watson, I think, could have done it. I think people, and I've been making this point for the last 2 months, and I think now people should realize that they won't. They'll just be like, oh, Tom Brady, 7 titles, 5 Super Bowl MVPs. You're the greatest. I love you. That's fine. But look, if you don't recognize now that Tampa Bay team is damn good, like if you're just telling me that it was just Tom Brady, I'm sorry, I'm still in the same place I was, which is you are doing a disservice to those 53 guys in that team, that coaching staff, those guys in the front office. Give Jason Light a hand. Leonard Fournette made a huge difference in this game. AB helped. Tristan Wirfs, the right tackle, first rounder, was a huge thing in this game. The defense, look, if you're reasonable, you should agree that the Bucs were not a 7-9 team last year, not with 30 interceptions. With decent quarterback play, they should have been 10-6, 11-5, and they had a little bit of an easier schedule this year. So I'm sorry, I am still not budging off of my viewpoint that Tom Brady proved his greatness even more by doing this. I will never say that. I just won't. It just goes against everything I believe. I am a teamist. This is a very good Bucs team that Brady caught at the right time. I give him credit for seeing the future. He called them special when he was talking with Arians and Jason Light. He said, we have a chance to be special. Tom Brady is the GOAT in terms of personnel because he saw it coming. My hand to him, but I do not think that this changes anything. I do not think that Tom Brady walks on water and can change the fortunes of anybody. He just went to the right team at the right time.
The take that I will probably regret later is we will be in this spot a year from now talking about Tom Brady winning again, Tampa Bay winning again, ring number 8 for Brady. He said it right on the stage tonight. I'm coming back. He's not going to feed into any story. He wants to be back, and I feel like he wants to be back to win another Super Bowl, to go back-to-back. And what an amazing story that would be. The last quarterback to win back-to-back Super Bowls, as we all know, was Brady 03-04. Imagine, he does it in 03-04, and then he becomes the next guy to do it in 2020. That is absolutely absurd. And I'm not gonna go against the guy. I mean, it's pretty difficult. This team is loaded. They have some free agents. Levante David could end up leaving. Chris Godwin is also a free agent. We'll see how that shakes out. But, this team it's very talented, as you said, Greg. And I think Tampa has a great shot at repeating. And I think Brady, as long as he stays healthy, fingers crossed, and he doesn't fall off the Max Kellerman cliff, I think we're talking about, him winning ring number 8. And that's just, it's just crazy. It's absurd. The guy's been to 10 Super Bowls. He's won 7 now. I know what you're saying about the team. And I do think Tampa was better than people thought that they were. Jameis Winston threw 33 picks. That's you got to try to throw 33 picks in the NFL. But I think this team is very, very talented. And I see Brandon Cawley. I've been looking at all the chats. No one is leaving. We'll see. We'll see if they run it completely back with everybody. If they do, they're going to be a monster. It's tough to go back to back, but I think that would be the icing on the cake for Brady. Back-to-back, 17 years separated.
I completely agree with you. I think this team is loaded. I think they're primed, and I think that back-to-back carrot that you're talking about is just the type of thing to motivate Brady in the offseason. And I think, we disagreed a lot on this podcast, but I think we can agree on that, and that's a good way to finish.
Yeah, we disagreed. I was right. You were wrong. That's the Greg Bedard